Why good closers stay broke longer than bad ones. The worst thing that can happen to a closer is getting good at closing. And I know how that sounds. Because if you're sitting here right now, you're good at what you do, you're making money, people respect your numbers, and you still feel like something is off. This video is going to explain exactly why that is. And it's going to be uncomfortable because the thing that's keeping you stuck isn't your skill level. It's not your work ethic, it's not the offer, it's not even your manager. It's the fact that you became too good, too fast at a game that was never designed to make you wealthy. I'm gonna show you the trap from the inside and what the exit actually looks like. So first I wanna tell you about a guy. I'm not going to use his name, but I promise you either know this person or you are this person. He got into high-ticket sales 2 years ago, took the training seriously, studied the frameworks, practiced his tonality. Within 6 months, he was in the top 3 on his team. Within a year, he was the #1 closer on a team doing 7 figures a month. He was making 15K, 18, sometimes even 22,000 in a good month. From the outside, he was winning, completely winning. But here's what was happening on the inside. Every month, he reset to 0. Every month, he had to perform to get paid. Every month, the offer owner had the ability to change his commission rate, pull his leads, restructure the composition plan, and there was nothing that he could do about it because he didn't own anything. So he practically was an asset on someone else's balance sheet. So he started working more hours to protect his numbers. He stopped taking days off because a day off meant a day without commission. His identity became his close rate. So if he had a bad week, he had a bad personality, pissed off, aggravated. If he had a good month, he felt invincible until the next month started and the counter hit 0 again. And you know what's the wild part? The bad closers on his team, the ones making 5, 6, 8,000 a month, were already thinking about what's next, already building side relationships, already thinking about offers they can run themselves or teams they could manage because they had nothing to protect. He had everything to protect. And that protection instinct is the trap. That guy was me. And maybe right now, that guy is you. Let me break down exactly how this trap works because once you see it, you can't unsee it. Trap number 1, skill becomes a prison. The better you get at closing, the more you identify with it. And the more you identify with it, the more terrifying it becomes to walk away, even temporarily. Because in your head, if you stop closing, you stop becoming valuable. If you're not on calls, you're not producing. If you're not producing, you're falling behind. And that's not work ethic. That's a cage you built yourself and called discipline. Trap number 2, income becomes a ceiling labeled as a goal. When you're making 15K a month, your brain tells you the goal is 20. When you hit 20, the goal becomes 25. And you keep riding the same machine harder and harder, more calls, better close rate, longer hours, chasing a number that keeps moving. But here's what nobody tells you. There's a mathematical ceiling on what one person can earn from their own closing performance. You have a number of hours that is so limited. You have a limited number of calls you can sit on without burning out, and you are one bad month, one offer collapse, or even one commission plan change away from losing everything you've built, and you're not even building towards freedom. You're running faster on a treadmill because nothing that you are doing right now you own. Trap number 5, you start believing your income is proof of your ceiling. You're making $15,000 a month. You've never made more than that. So somewhere in the back of your mind, you start believing maybe that's just what you're worth. Maybe the people making 50,000 or even 100,000 a month have something you don't. They don't. They just stopped playing a game with a built-in ceiling. That's it. That's the entire difference. I manage teams doing $18 million a year in revenue. The closers on my team who have the hardest time leveling up are almost always the best performers because they lack talent. They do. Because they have the most to lose psychologically by admitting the game they're winning isn't the right game. And here's the part that's going to sound backwards until it clicks. Bad closers, or more accurately, closers who aren't obsessed with protecting their close rate, move faster into ownership models because they have less ego on the line. They're already hungry because the comfort isn't there. They're already looking sideways at the business model because their numbers aren't good enough to keep their head down. So they're already asking questions like, how does this offer actually make money? Who do I need to know to get my own placement deal? What would it look like if I ran my own team? Meanwhile, the top performer is focused on the next closing call, the next meeting, and the next deal. Because the next deal is real. The next deal pays rent. The next deal confirms the identity. There's a psychological concept called loss aversion. Humans feel the pain of losing something about twice as strongly as they feel the pleasure of gaining something equivalent. So a top closer isn't just chasing more money, they're terrified of losing what they already have. And that fear keeps them exactly where they are. This isn't weakness. This is a human psychology operating exactly as designed. And it's the same fear that prospects get when you're talking to them, but knowing it's happening to you is the first step to overriding it. The question isn't whether you're good enough to build something bigger. Obviously, you are. You close deals for a living. The question is whether you're willing to feel like a beginner again in order to get there. Are you ready to break the beak or shed the skin? Because the first 3 months of building your own agency, managing your first team, or landing your first fractional client are going to feel like you're moving backwards. Your income might dip. Your confidence might also shake for me as well, and your identity will feel unstable because you have to rebrand, rebirth yourself, and that feeling isn't failure. That's the cost of the exit. I want to talk to you about identity for a second because this is where everything either clicks or it doesn't. If you ask most closers who they are, they'll tell you what they do. I'm a high ticket closer. I'm a setter. I want a $2 million a month offer. The role becomes the identity, and that makes complete sense. The role is where you spend your time, it's where you get your wins, and it's where you get your validation. But here's the problem. When your identity is the role, your ceiling is the role ceiling. You cannot think bigger than the thing you believe you are. The shift isn't learning a new skill set. It's not getting a mentor. It's not reading a book. It's not watching more YouTube. The shift is deciding before you have the evidence that you are an operator, not someone who wants to become an operator, not someone working towards it. A CRO, a chief revenue operator, sales manager, because someone who is one right now hadn't even finished building the infrastructure yet. It was just that simple. It isn't. It's that click that they had that they needed to break the ceiling, because your brain is going to look at your bank account, your current role, and your current results and say, that's not true. You're a closer. Sit down, and you have to overwrite that every single day until the evidence catches up with the identity. And I know closers who made this switch, and within 18 months, they had teams of 8, 10, 12 reps. They were taking overrides on every deal. They had retainer relationships with 2 or 3 offer owners. They woke up on a Monday morning and their income for the week was already partially locked in before they made a single call. And that is a different life. Not a marginally better version of the same life, a fundamentally different life. And it starts with one decision about who you truly are. So let me give you something practical to walk away with. If you recognize yourself anywhere in this video, here's the 3 steps reframe I want you to sit with this week. 1, stop measuring yourself by your close rate. Stop measuring yourself by what you're building. Close rate is a performance metric. It tells you how good you are today. It tells you nothing about where you'll be in 2 years. Start tracking different numbers. How many relationships do you have with offer owners? How many reps have you mentored? How many systems do you understand well enough to teach? That's the operator math, a sales manager's math, consultant's math. 2, take one meeting this week that has nothing to do with your current role. One coffee, one Zoom, one DM conversation with someone further down the path, doing something completely different, or perhaps something similar to what I'm talking about. Not to ask for a job, but just to understand how they think. You'll be surprised how fast your ceiling moves when you spend time around people who've already broken through it. 3, give yourself permission to be bad at something new. It's okay. It's fine. And remember how you started in this to begin with. This is the hardest one for high performance and the most important. The moment you allow yourself to be a beginner again in building, in managing, in selling your own services is the moment the ceiling cracks. The best closers I know who stays closers forever were talented. They were hardworking. They were disciplined. And they're still resetting to zero every single month. The best closers I know who became operators were all of those things too. But at some point, they looked at the game they were winning and decided the prize wasn't worth it anymore. That decision is available to you right now, today. I'm Fadi. This channel exists because I made that decision and I want to show you exactly what it looks like on the other side. Subscribe if this hit where it needed to, and drop a comment and tell me where you are right now, because I read all of them and I want to make sure that I'm building a cult around me that matches the same mindset. And I'll see you in the next one.